Yeah. Good afternoon. Must I Talk TV. Today we're here with THIRZA. So, how you doing, THIRZA?
I'm fine. Hello, how are you?
Yeah,
Thank
not
you for
bad.
this opportunity.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. So, tell us a bit more about yourself and then what you're about, basically.
Okay, so my name's THIRZA Amina Asangare. I'm currently the candidate for the Green Party, running in the general elections to be the MP, representing 6 wards within that constituency.
Yeah. Okay. So, and what the party you're running from, is that the Green Party?
Correct, it's the Green Party. We are not obviously as big as some of the mainstream parties, such as Conservative and Labour, but what we do, we have a growing membership and representation. We've already got an MP that's in Parliament, and we're looking to gain more. And the purpose of that is that we can hold whichever party that's in leadership to account.
So, tell us a bit more about yourself and where you're from. Was you born in Mossad?
No. So I'm Nigerian born, but I grew up in Mossad, or Rusholme back then.
Yeah.
I went to Heel Place Primary School. Then I went to St. Vincent de Paul's and Mancat College. So I've had a wealth, as in my formative years have been here in this constituency, before going on to London to do degrees and work and so forth. But I came back in, I think, around 2017. And I realized certain things in my community had not changed. In fact, I was quite upset because it looked like we'd been abandoned as a community. There was a lack of services. Housing was in a state. Just so many things that I've come back to Manchester with 3 young black boys and I have a daughter. So it was important for me to make sure the environment we lived in was fitting for us. We're royal people, and I think that we should be living better than we have been.
So, as far as the Green Party, what is it you expect to do differently? Basically, if you've been elected.
I think for me, the first and foremost thing is to be honest. A lot of people that I've spoke to and what they know about politics is that most politicians and most institutions are not transparent. They don't tell the truth.
True.
So I think I owe it to people that if we can do something, I say, yes, we can. If there's too many constraints or limitations, I'm 100% honest and I say, we can't do that. And I give them the reasons. Like, there's no point saying you can't do that and not give enough meat on the bone. So for me, I think it's important to first tell the truth and be honest, because that's how loyalty and that's how, anything I do will be respected because I'm being 100% transparent. But already, if I tell you some of the things that I'm doing in the community, whether elected or not, it is all about affecting change. So I'm very passionate about the legal justice system, and it ties in a bit with politics. So, I have regular conversations, or I have been here in Mossad with the CPS around joint enterprise and stop and search, which is, again, over proportionate for our community and our race. I also deal with housing. I'm a housing organizer. So again, going into residents' houses, taking evidence of, conditions that they're living in that's poor standard, and then challenging the council, challenging the private landlords, even social housing landlords. There's nobody that I am not fearful of approaching, especially when I see a wrong being done. I've also got co-founding link to a charity that was formed. Me and another person in the community formed a charity called Great, which tackles the school to prison pipeline. So again, education is important. And for me, stopping any child going to a PRU will stop them leading down that prison pipeline, in my view. So that entails empowering parents. I'm a parent governor, so again, feeding information to the parents. I established a PTA because of the importance of hearing the parents' voice, especially in the education structure, and just ensuring you know what your child's being taught, that the school are treating and teaching your children as you would like it to be, because it's a long time your child spends at school. So these are passionate areas that I already work in and do a lot of things and engage with people.
So you basically already sound like, to me, from what you've just explained, like you've already been tapped into the community, giving back,
Yeah.
you know, a lot in critical places.
Yeah.
Because as you said, with the CPS or the stop and search
Yeah.
system, we've had that issue in the. What's your take on that as that topic?
It's quite nice that you asked me that question, and I hope you would. So let me paint a picture around joint enterprise in specific and the jury system and the court system. So when I invited the head of Crown Prosecution to speak with me, he broke it down, and it's something that I want to share and do some sort of education around the
Yes.
different powers. Probation have different powers, police have different powers, the court. So we as a people need to understand all the different powers that they have and how they interlink or jurisdictions. But in our conversations, it just stumbled on me that we, as in African heritage, Caribbean heritage, you know, anyone that is from a global majority doesn't really engage in democracy. And if you don't engage in democracy, you're not going to get called out for jury service. So when a trial comes up and it's an all-white jury, it's because none of us are in the system, or not enough of us are in the system to be called out to sit and play jury to a lot of the cases that we time after time see black boys getting sentenced or girls getting sentenced disproportionately and being found guilty. Is because we're not engaging in the democracy side as well.
And so in other words, people from other background or ethnicity, they don't really understand our culture, so they look at it from a different point of view.
They have a bias. They have their own narrative. They will perceive us in a certain way. Some of them, again, you watch things on TV, and if it's painted black or brown people in a negative sense, that's what they'll have. So if they're faced with a jury case and it's, you know, I don't know, it's maybe a stabbing or, you know, some sort of criminal act, they've already got that bias, that negative connotation around black people. So, you know.
So it's an interesting point, because I wasn't born here. I've been here for 23 years now. But since I've been here, I've seen quite a lot, especially regarding to like, so the first kids I know went to jail, prison should I say, was maybe 13 guys. There was a killing that went on somewhere in Rochdale. That was the first one I know about. And then there's one that happened over there. So altogether, I counted about 40 kids who's been to jail, maybe for about 3 murders. Now, I'm not saying that someone shouldn't be held accountable, but that's 40, so 43 lives, you could say, that's gone. You know what I mean? And that's where my thing. But my next issue is with mostly the parents. And while we could say, like, you know, we're not in the the jury system.
That's just one element.
That's just one element. Because I see us as parents, we need to be doing more to educate our kids about the joint enterprise.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? And because, like I said, when I see kids sometimes, you know, they're coming to a shop, I'll say to them, you know, be careful on the street. You know, because it don't take nothing, because as you know, 4 boys walking down the street, boys will be boys. One of them get into an altercation with the next boy. Now, all 4 boys are now implicated in the same crime, you know, even though it was only one who was instigating, you know what I mean? So the next 3 now becomes guilty because by association, you know what I mean? And then that make that person feel unfair done by. But I'm saying parents, the law is the law. And we have to somehow abide by the law, because as you say, in those areas we are minority. So then that puts us on the back foot, where we need to educate our kids and let them know, listen, if you're going out with your friends, be aware of these situations, because you could end up in jail for 30 years for something you did not do. You know what I mean? And I think we need to be pushing that point more as parents on the kids, and don't wait until the last minute we start saying, oh yeah, he wasn't involved, he wasn't, you know what I mean? Because then it's like we are not bigger than the system, and we haven't got enough people in the system to take us out of the system.
I totally agree. I think so. As part of my community engagement, I remember again with TAP Project, another organisation I've worked with in the community. We were giving out stop and search cards, and that was just knowledge both to parents and the youth, so that they can educate themselves of if they are stopped under Section 60, that they know what they can ask for, whether it's the badge number, what are you stopping me for, just asking the right questions in a calm, collective manner. And that's another thing about being composed, about not, one thing that I did discuss with the head of CPS is that, you don't look at the Black people with our cultures. So when you stop a young person or the police stop a young person, he's looking on the ground, he's looking everywhere, but giving that direct eye contact. The police call that suspicious.
Yes.
But we know as cultural people, you're not to look adult in the eye.
Yes.
So again, not having that backdrop knowledge of these are how the cultures of these people are, not to give direct eye contact because it's a sign of disrespect. You've now labeled that child suspicious when he isn't. He's just complied with his cultural values and what he was raised with. So there's elements of that. But back to your point about education, while I was speaking to the CPS, we kind of drew a leaflet up that says how to avoid getting roped into joint enterprise. Now, this was just before the report had been finished, and a recent report, everyone can look into that, research it online, that showed that it was disproportionate for the Black and Caribbean community. And I think there's been measures put in place to change and review things going forward. Now, my fight is, it's farewell that you're going to realize you made lots of mistakes and change things going forward, but I want it backdated. There's innocent, like you said, lives that are locked up for 30 years. They were in the bed at the time that incident happened, and because they text or, there was some transaction and it was a friend from school, he didn't know that this was going to happen. He's now doing 20, 30-year sentences. So I want a review, and I want it backdated so that we free our innocent boys and girls who are roped up in this joint enterprise. So that's a campaign I'll definitely get on board. I know some MPs are currently pushing for a review on the joint enterprise and backdating. So I'll be working in tandem with those that are like-minded on that case, on those cases.
And it's a very good point, because at least we've got someone who's willing to stand up for our community, because that's where I feel like we are falling short, we haven't got any representative, in the Black community. People will say, obviously, not saying no one is not doing nothing, basically, but we need someone, some form of figure. Like you've just stated when you started, there isn't a Black MP around there.
There's never been. Look,
I know, but why? How?
I think a lot of people. Again, I'm happy to serve. It's me giving back.
Yes.
But a lot of people, again, from the Black Caribbean background, they particularly don't like raising their head above the pulpit and standing in places where, you may be a figure. I'm okay with that. I have no skeletons or bones in my closet. You see me as I am, and that's why I started with honesty. Those who know me and have grown up with me will speak in my absence, and those that get to know me are equally warmed, because I can't be fair. It's just, for me, it's easier to just keep the truth and keep it real, rather than to spin a lie, because it will always come back to you. And as we can see with major people who are in the limelight, the truth eventually comes out, and when we're shocked, when we're like, oh my gosh, we thought this, but it was all a lie. So, I just try and live an easy life by just, being real.
But like you said, we need someone there, in our community to, because when you look at every other culture, they've got
representatives,
there, and we feel like we've been left out in the water, even the issues with like, the West Indian Center, places like those, which is of, interest to, most people, because that's where a lot of people go and socialize when funerals, stuff like that,
And just to share with you, around the West Indian Center, not just the West Indian Center, Carnival Road, again, I grew up going there as a youth club at the top of Carnival Road. And also the Reno side. I can go on Nello James, I can list a host of, Caribbean centers, places where, we had a stronghold. So with my housing hat, I've been campaigning against what was going to be built on 4 sites, one of them being the Reno, because the Reno's still very much in the basement.
Yes.
It's they've just covered it over. So technically, I would like that reopened. If I'm elected as MP, Rise Up for the Reno will happen, in that we will go into the basement down there by the brewery, and it's waking up history, because from my research, that's where a lot of Black people that came from Windrush, probably my dad's generation and before that, that was the cafe that people, when they first come, when they first reach, that you'd find out, where do I go for this? Well, so it was like a hub, and we're social people. So of course there'd be music, there'd be food, there'd be drink. So I don't want that history buried in Manchester. Even though I didn't enjoy it in those years, I can wake it up for the next generation and myself.
So with what you've just said there, does that mean that there has been a pause on the building that's going on
Correct.
around?
So I sat on the steering group with a lot of other community leaders, but obviously MSV and Manchester City Council were the 2 people that came together to try and push that development. And what was beautiful is, despite any differences, the steering group pushed back and says, no, go back and check your figures. We weren't happy with the proposal. Obviously, we were worried about sound with Westwood Street, and if you build resident homes around there, we'll have a repeat of Carnival Road. So we used that as the benchmark. And we all said unanimously that no, you're not going to build and I think they wanted to build 1 beds. Now, we know Moss Side of big families. We want 3, 4, even bigger bed homes. We don't want affordable homes. We want social housing. There's a difference, because what's affordable to you might not be affordable to me. But we know social housing means social housing. That's council housing. So I think it was beautiful, because we didn't mince our words. We knew what we wanted to stand for, and now there's a pause on it. So while there's a pause, I got a pot of money separate that I applied for to create a housing forum that's combined of residents, community leaders, those that live in Moss Side, to build this forum, so that any development that happens in Moss Side, before you build or knock down, you check in with this housing forum. And because it's built up of resident people and leaders in the community, it's you that has the say. It's not what they want, it's what you want to see in your community. So going forward, I'm hoping that this housing forum will power itself. It will be an entity of its own. It will be a force that the council will have to reckon with. Because then you can say, right, well, we want the Reno open, we want it cleared out. And if you go online, you can see there's an excavation been done underneath, where they've gone down and took pictures, so you can still see some of the old, the bar and things like that is still down there. Okay. So I don't want that gone and houses built on top of it and it's buried. I want it woke back up and used, and then we can decide what type of accommodation or service that's put on all those pieces of land in Moss Side.
Yeah, it would be good to know, because from what I seen on that plan, when it seems like they was trying to build apartments rather on that lot opposite Westwood Street, because they said they would put the back towards
block off the road. Even you wouldn't be able to drive out from is it?
Yeah, I know that road you're talking. I can't remember the name.
I can't either.
Yeah. So but basically, if they had gone ahead with that plan, it would be a nuisance, and we would become a nuisance to that environment, those residents, those residents, and then that's how they would have shut Westwood Street down, or put clamp on it, because the residents would complain to the council would then put a restriction on Westwood Street, and then that would become Carnival Road. You know what I mean? And then exactly. But if you notice, they've put a parking and permit around that site. So basically, you could be at Westwood Street, park your car outside, and now you could get a ticket.
Really? Is it enforced?
So that's been enforced from maybe last year.
Right, okay. It stretches right down, because I know most of it was from Winslow Road end, but it goes all the way to Princess Parkway. But again, see, these are things that were done under your local councillors. Now, if you'd vote councillors that listened to the people or considered the people, we might not have had that type of parking regulation in place. I mean, it's probably good to have some level, because I realized at the top end, people were parking, residents can park, and they were going St. Mary's, for example, for work.
Yeah.
So, near the Whitworth end. So there's different things that we would have had to look at. But again, it was all Labour councillors, and without consultation or surveys within the community, things are just going to get pushed through. So it's key to have representatives within the council, within political parties that speak for the people.
Yeah.
Back to your point about what they want to build. Now, you do know, before those flats on Princess Road were there, it was a petrol station.
Yeah.
You were there them times, isn't it? Yeah. So again, it's a concrete jungle. And my view is that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to build, again, a concrete block of flats, cram as many residents in there, not looking at density, not looking at how families can live, children, not having a garden, all these things play to your mental health, that play to what kind of class and living lifestyle you have when you're crammed in a flat in comparison to having a house with a garden and so forth. So,
but most people would say like Mosside now has become, because most of the Mossadians are
Mossadians,
they're not about anymore. They're either being moved out or being forced out in whatever way. Some people move, most people move now to Blakely, Muston. Those are the side now when people get houses. So the council move them from one area and push them to that area. So now, as you were saying, we haven't got anyone representing us in the community for changes like that. Yeah. So basically, this is where you comes in as the Green Party now to say, okay, you're going to be standing with us and say, okay, they need to vet certain things before it goes ahead.
Check and balance.
I know, but who has these people been given their vote to all these years, and who is representing us? Because I'll say something to you now, and I might be talking too much, because obviously, but I'm passionate about, I call it my community, because I live there more than I lived in Jamaica.
Same, I mean? Yeah. More than I lived.
So I see it now as my
this
community.
Is home.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Yeah. So the way I look at it now is like, we was at the Windrush. Well, I was at the Windrush, the Windrush last week
at Alec Park.
I'm not sure if you've been.
I didn't go to that event, but I knew about it. Obviously, I've been busy campaigning.
So the issue that I want to point out is basically the Windrush. That was supposed to be a celebration about us, the Windrush, African Caribbean, community, Now, what I noticed, the grass on the Windrush, where the Windrush was kept, was not cut.
Overgrown.
It was overgrown. But if you look just across the road where they was playing netball,
the courts where
not where they was playing is it volleyball or netball, whatever it is, where they put the finger, over there the grass was smooth, and right here, so it's like this and that,
complete
steps, just a step over, and which is in the Windrush area, the grass was like this high, and just as you stepped off the Windrush bit, everything was smooth,
low,
and then when you go across over the next side where the cricket ground is, it was all smooth. Now, I see my personal opinion as that's very disrespectful, because did they not know that the Windrush the event was going to be held there? And who is responsible for looking over things like this? Now, what I'm saying, if it was a different community that was doing this event in the park, it would be all kosher.
All those checks.
You know what I mean? All those would be checked and would be made sure. So I feel like they're obviously, because we haven't got any representative going ensuring certain things is being checked and ticked off. Things like that is gone, and then you've got MPs who come there just to make political speech, and no one really overlook, everyone overlook the situation,
the conditions that you live in, or you're supposed to be celebrating
that we're supposed to be celebrating in, you know what I mean? And I don't know, like I said, I've not heard anyone talk about it, but for me personally, I was like, this is disrespectful. You know what I mean? We should be treated more, you know what I mean, in a more, I don't understand, you know what I mean, and I don't want to be creating no vibes, but at the same time, we need to speak about issues like this.
I think it's important that you do speak. I like the fact that you are speaking, and I would love to have you in spaces that I go, because if it's only my voice to hearing, you know, it might be that, oh, it's just me and I got to be in my bonnet. But the more people that come forward to speak, you know, wherever it is, I think it shows more power to the movement, to who we are, to affecting change. So something like that, service, again, your local councillors, and if you don't know them, it's Arimba Bell, and it's Mahadi, and the recent one that got elected, because I ran as well for the local elections to be a councillor in Mossai. Obviously, I'm going for a bigger piece and a bigger constituency than just one ward. But these are the things that you would challenge and make sure it's done beforehand. And I think whoever represents Russia or Manchester has to put respect back into those communities, so that the services are done, so that your bins are collected, so that grass is cut, and whenever you're having an event, I remember when the Queen come to visit the cleaned up Princess Road, you saw flowers hanging from, you know, it was so pretty. What happened after the Queen left? No more flowers. So I think, you know, again, you can just drive through Manchester and see the different postcodes and see where money's being spent and where money's deprived, and services and so forth. I'm not about that. Like I said, I live here, my children live here, we grow here. So for me, I want us to live nice, and I want anyone that comes into this constituency to respect it, to respect the people, and expect a standard. Like, let's have the standard.
Yes, because don't drop the standard, you know, I mean,
they will just throw anything at.
Throw anything and expect us to accept it, you know what I mean? And we've been here for how many generations now, being slaving, doing, you know what I mean? Slave is a strong word, basically, but I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? When those people used to, that's the point I'm making.
I'm not hiding it.
But that's what they sent for us to do in those days, to come and rebuild Britain. We come now and our parents do the jobs, and now it feels like they've not really recognized us or give us any reward in that sense, you know what I mean? So the next issue I want to raise with you is, because like I said, you're someone who is looking to represent the local community. So the local Caribbean Carnival is part of our culture as well, which is a very strong bit. So what I'm looking at now, I heard that this year, so last year, there was a big issue with the outside vendors at the carnival. You know what I mean?
I was out. I was obviously, I'm very engaged, and I know the reasons why, and I've been attending PAC meetings within the community.
So this year now, I heard that there won't be any after carnival street party. Now, my view is, because I don't want to say issue, because like I said, I'm no one to be having an issue with anything. You know what I mean? I don't even vote, so you know what I mean?
Well, we'll change that. We'll change that.
Okay, but my view is this: when I go other places, or I see other places having carnival, so we'll point out a few. So, for example, we have Leeds, which is double the size of Manchester. Then you've got London, which is probably triple the size of Manchester. Now, when you go these places, and then you could say you're in town where you've got the Mardi Gras, you know what I mean, and you could say on Heed, where you've got the Muslim festival,
Ramadan.
You know what I mean? Ramadan, should I say, So everywhere has got their own thing. Now, on Ramadan, if Ramadan falls on a Wednesday, people are allowed to party from Wednesday straight back till Sunday night, you know, because their Christmas comes on that day until the Sunday at least. They will celebrate, even if it's not, they will, because the road is blocked off. Party all night, there's no issue. You go to Leeds, carnival kept, everything, people party all night, everything's no issue, Now you come to Manchester, now in town it's the same thing, everywhere is the same thing, but what I'm saying is, you come to Manchester, and I don't know what the issue is, but I don't know if it's just different, I don't know, I'm not sure the word I'm looking for,
I think if I can jump in and help you here, I think what it is there is a perception around Carnival, and a lot of it is negative, or it attaches to hostile. Now, I again grew up here where I was in Carnival. I was part of troops. I helped make the costumes. So back in the day, I would say Carnival was Carnival. Since coming back and things have changed, and I'm aware, I've spoke to various people where we almost lost our carnival. We almost lost funding for it, and so on and so forth. Now, the carnivals that I've seen taking place since coming back, I wouldn't call them carnivals. Other people have said it's a bit like a festival. You use the word festival. So it lacks some of the first community aspect in it. There are people that are passionate within the community that want to do things but have just felt left out and not engaged with for Carnival. And then costs that are associated to Carnival now that were never there. I wasn't happy with last year's because it felt like we were chickens in a coop. It was with all the fencing. Right?
This is what I'm saying. But you go leaves and you don't see that.
It's like we're barricaded into. Again, it's attached to some of the negative connotations that's attached to Carnival. Obviously we know we've had killings, we've had injuries of where people have got into fights and things like that. So there has been that, but nothing more than if it was a football. When you go to football matches and it kicks off, or something happens. Now, from my point of view, I would be looking to apply for all the necessary things that we need to have a good carnival that's free from crime. If it needs more police, so be it. But it's not about shutting things down and restricting us. I remember I was out there last year when they were taking people's, stalls down. And it was heart-wrenching to see, because some people, and I spoke to another lady outside recently around it. For them, that was their little give back to Carnival, their ability to make a bit of money as well. For me, it was like, let's just make sure everyone has their license. So if it is a license issue, if I was a councillor, I'd be looking at having sessions, getting people registered for their trading license. Because again, if you poison someone and that person dies, that is death on your hands. So I wouldn't want anyone that's selling food or selling drink to find themselves in front of a judge, or because they didn't have the right requirements or particulars. So rather than hinder, help. And I said, I'll work with anyone in the community that's willing to help get these licenses in place. Now, I know that fell on deaf ears because I'm not aware that all these people that set up stalls, some that are local, some that have travelled for Carnival, I'm not sure where we are with it. But that's another failing where I would have wanted leaders or councillors to help people for Carnival, and the board that run the Carnival to get involved in helping the community as well. I can't leave them out simply because, again, this is their community. It's being hosted, again, in Mosside, where a lot of people live, and to just feel like as if it's not for you, and it's more to cater to a different clientele. So, we need to just...
So I like the way you just word that, because, it's about straight talk. And you've just said it. You know what I mean? So, my experience of Carnival, I've had stalls over there from Mickey Bisson was there, years ago, and since recent I've not had any stalls there because for other reasons, but I won't try to.
No, it's fine.
But the main thing is the outside. So what you've just said. Most people who sell on the outside, that's their little hustle to get their little kids' money to go back buy the kids' uniform and shoes for back to school in
September. Austerity is real.
But what it is, a lot of people look down on those people outside as if they are not. I don't know what the word. I don't want to put words out there that's not meant. You know what I mean? But basically, they look at them less tough, as if what those people are doing is not qualified. But you've made a great point, a valid point about let's help them. So if it's a licensing that they need, let's help them to get these licenses, because you've just made a valid point about someone getting poisoned, food poisoning or whatever. You know what I mean? So people need to make sure they have the accurate
allergies. I can reel off a host of
But what I said is basically, the next point of what you've just stated is that inside of the carnival, with the organizers need to link up with people on the outside, which is a different team. So say, for example, a team of 5, yeah? We need to say, okay, let's go to these people. We're not going to charge them £300. We're going to take £30 a head of them. Yeah. This £30 a head needs to put towards toilet and security. Yeah. Because we're going to need to have extra security on the outside. Now, if we get 10 toilets, we've got some rubbish bins where people can put the rubbish, and we've got some a bit of fencing from where the people are not supposed to go. Not fencing them in. No. Fencing them out. From areas that they're not supposed to
go into, cordoned off areas.
Cordoned off area like that. And like I said, we have visible security walking by through the crowd. You know what I mean? People with license, SIA, and badges to go through and help, because that's a major part of well, like I said, I wasn't born there, so I don't want to talk, because people said it's not a part of Carnival, so I don't know. But every area I've seen Carnival.
Do you know what? There's gonna, and this is a bit of like what I'm gonna face anyway. When I get, there'll be the yin and the yang. There'll be people that are for it. There'll be people that are against. But because again, you go with the majority. You go with the voices of the people of reason. Now, I'm a part of the community. The community guardians. So last year I was out with my t-shirt and I was on the street party, walking up and down, checking people all right, giving water where I needed, because again, the youth were out there, they were getting intoxicated, and there's these balloons and the gas. So there's all of those things that mixed up in the melting pot while people are enjoying themselves. But again, I volunteered myself, and I know that there's a host of other people through engaging who volunteered to do that. Policing, not necessarily police force, but just to, again, because they've got relationships with people in the community. So there's a lot that we can do as a community if we come together, and I just don't see that coming together.
No, it's not happening.
So until that happens, I don't know what's going to happen this year. But like I said, as your MP, sitting under Rusholme constituency, I will, and whatever it is, I will be honest. If I went back to the police or I went back to Manchester City Council and said, right, Carnival, this is what we want for it, this is how, the people are saying, and they came back and said, well, this is, I will come back and give you that fact. I'll give you those evidence.
And you will fight where it's necessary.
Obviously. I think what I do know, and anyone can quote me wrong, is the current board are tied in or ring fenced, because I did actually go to the council to have meetings. A little group of us went to find out what the situation is, because before the current board changed its organisation, there was an element in their constitution which referred to like it was the community angle bit. It was not ambassadors, but we would be a voice to represent the community in the board, so to speak. But because they changed into a CIC, I think they took that element out. So now no community voice is heard in that space.
I know.
And for me, it was upsetting. And they have a contract, I think, that runs out in a year or two with Manchester City Council. So they'll obviously be looking at who's going to take over running council next. So in my view, I'd be educating people that want to get involved in Carnival going forward. If we can't impact the current situation and the board, when it comes up again for tender, that a good collective group come and we put our bid forward.
So could you explain why is it so vital that we as a community depend on the council so much for funding? Because funding can come from anywhere. You know what I mean? So why is it, if the council is don't fund us, it's as if we won't have a carnival? Why has it got to be that way?
Well, it doesn't. There's the answer.
This is what I'm saying. So
if we come together collectively, and I say the royal we, because I'm busy, I don't think I'll be getting into Carnival like that, but I will forever assist, because equally I grew up here and I celebrate Carnival as if it was, equally a Nigerian festival. I think we come together as a community, raise funds that we will use to establish and make Carnival what we want it to be. I think we've got so far off board to the point that And I hate to say it this way, we're looking at the council to give us this, give us that, do this, do that. And that's got to stop, because whatever comes with that giving is regulated.
This is it.
It's regulated. So we're not doing what actually we want to do.
We can't.
Restrictions. So let's break some of these cycles. Some of it is just maybe laziness or the lack of working collectively in unity as a people. There might be some back homework we need to do and come together, because we're a rich community and we're highly skilled. I'm meeting people on a regular that, I can do this bit, or I'm good at technology, or I'm good. So there's nothing saying we can't pull off even a better carnival than what was happening back in the 80s and 90s.
If all the funding from my business point of view, no one is asking me anyway. I'm just saying, because we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
If we, so for example, this year we've got some funding, and we've let it gone through. We should be able to, because the carnival is monetized, so therefore we should be able to make enough money, or at least quite a bit of money through this year carnival, and if we get use these local businesses around there and advertise them as a sponsors, we should be able to do the full thing of sponsoring ourselves.
And pick the day you want to do carnival. You promote carnival.
And to me, it's possible. You know what I mean? And like I said, no one's asking my business opinion.
I personally agree with you. It's an amazing idea. If I was to speak to a group of people, I'd be like, first of all, get a council pot, a carnival pot. So, just keep filling that pot. Get a collective group, a conglomerate of people who equally would feed into that pot, and establish your own board. And from that, you start planning now. Don't wait for 2026, 27, and then say, oh, okay, we're going to do. Start now. Get like-minded people, get conscious people, get people that actually believe in more of the carnival than any kind of money or status or whatever comes with it, and just want to celebrate carnival in its traditional way.
So you've got some really valid points, and hopefully people listen to this conversation and see, people will say, oh, it's politics talk. But at the end of the day, we've not had anyone to represent us over the years anyway. So therefore, at the end of the day, we need to give you that benefit of the doubt.
Thank you.
And what I say is, let you messed up. You understand what I'm saying to you? Not saying you will. I'm just saying,
but give me the opportunity.
Give you the opportunity to. You understand? Because we're giving it to everyone else. You know what I mean?
Over and over again sometimes.
And we are not seeing any benefit, or little benefit from so far. So we need to see someone who look like us, speak like us, and understand us. You know what I mean? And like I said, I don't believe too much in politics, but like I said to you, I believe in you as a person.
Oh, thank you.
For you to take it forward. And you know what I mean? Just by speaking to you, you raise some valid point. And I hope that people can look into this and they can see through it, because what's this costing them? Nothing. You know what I mean?
I mean, in order to affect change, we do have to give other people opportunity. Again, I've been in politics as long as I've been an activist, because I've understood, how the connections are. After this whole elections, and I've said it to you, I was on Kasara Radio again, and he's got a wide reach. That's at FM. I reached out to a few other radio stations as well. But ultimately, I want to do political education. I want to do legal justice education. And if it's through radio, if it's through, leaflets or whatever means necessary, that knowledge is power. And I want to be part of giving it out, whatever I know. And if I don't know, I'll find someone who knows and deliver it. We need it.
And going back to what you've mentioned at the start, we haven't got enough people in the jury system. So therefore, we need to get on the voters list. So therefore, we can be selected.
You get pulled out.
As a jury. You know what I mean? Not saying we're trying to get people off things that do wrong.
No, not at all. We can't say we live in a diverse community and, we have everyone in, when we don't have them in certain jobs. So for example, I encourage people, get on your housing board, phone up and say, how can I get onto the housing board so I can hold you accountable when you're failing with my disrepair? Get into your schools, parent governors, you know, find out what the schools are doing. Take a seat as a black, brown, you know, whatever global majority of people need to just get into all these spaces so that we have a voice, so we have representatives in those spaces. Because if we don't, then what happens? You have a round table of the same similar looking people making decisions on our behalf.
Yes.
And it's not going to change.
No.
So, yeah, if you want change, give me a go.
Yeah,
Give me
and
a try.
I'm vouching for THIRZA as well. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
If we want to see change, we have to start with ourselves. We only can depend on us. We can't depend on no one else to try and do things for us.
Yeah.
And this is where I feel like we are failing as a community because we are not unifying.
No.
Yeah, we need to put, now, everyone can't be a leader, but obviously someone needs to lead us. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if you are the person now who is putting yourself forward, yeah, and you look like you've got the qualities to go far in this, then we need to push you up there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I said, give you the opportunity to represent us. Now, if we feel like you've not kept up to your word, then the next 4 years we'll just vote you out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's simple.
It's that simple.
Hold the power.
Hold the power,
people.
To the people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Let you put your money where your mouth is, like they said. You know what I mean? So you need to come through with what you promised and say, okay, this is what's going to happen. It's not pressure. Because at the end of the day, time goes quicker than most people, you know what I mean, expected. But the next question I want to ask you is about the Nello James.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on the Nello James and the situation there?
The Nello James is quite messy, and it's messy legally. It was way before my time, but I've done my research, and it was an amazing centre that was gifted to the community. Clearly mismanaged, and now, you know, sold off. But there's questions around the sale. So what I do know about it, there's a current board, an old board, consisting of some old members, and I think there's talks being had about where they can take that legally. But the building still sits there. It looks, you know, it's a sight to drive past. But it's a reminder as well. I think it feeds me to keep going so that we're not having repeats of, you know, those situations. So on that front, I don't know enough, and I've chose not to get involved in everything. But I am in touch with those people that are trying to affect change with that. As it sits, it's being dealt with in legal realm, so I won't dive in.
I was there with a guy called Felix, and when the police came there, when the guys was trying to put up some form of planning
planning permission.
Out there. They basically got a plan, what they were planning to do and whatever, and then it cost a big thing. Police arrested Felix on the day, but there was a lady who rang me personally from London. I don't know her name.
I do, but we'll keep.
And she called me and she was asking some questions, but I told her basically, so it's not like I don't want to get involved, but I don't know enough to get involved in these situations.
Similar,
you know
to
what
me.
I mean? Yeah. So I said to her, so basically you get in touch with people like, you know, Rame, like he kind of, you know what I mean, because he was the one who let me know about those situations there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And she was telling me about a guy called Pasco. In London as well, and he was one of the original members.
There's still quite a few of the original and the elderly now. So a lot have passed away and passed on. So how much of savouring of that legal, you know, paperwork knowledge can be saved? I don't know.
This is
but again, it sits in, if I'm the MP, it sits in the Rusholme constituency because it's part of Whalley Range, and that will sit within me. So I have no choice as a representative in the Black community to dig deep and find out what's going on with that. And I will feed the truth back to the community to say, this is the truth as it stands. And you can fact check it. I'll even produce facts where I can, if it's not in the legal realms. When things are in the legal realms, there's certain protections, so you can't talk on a case.
So as in, we're talking about the Black community and whatever goes on around there. So we'll involve the Windrush where we are now. And my question is to you about the Windrush is, so from my understanding, I heard the Windrush was set up to be a charity are a charitable
It's a trust.
trust foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So basically, I don't know how it was run or how it's whatever. I know there's been changes.
Yes.
Yeah, recently. So and there's other people on board and whatever.
Yeah.
But from my understanding, I understand that it was supposed to be run. So for example, a local person is coming up and they've got a business idea. They haven't got a business space. They should be able to come to the representative at the Windrush and put a proposal in. Windrush should be able to give them a discount price to rent a unit and then get their business to then elevate. And then after a couple of years, once they can stand on their feet, then they can have to move out. That's what I've been told.
I think under old trustee, I'm a trustee here.
Okay.
But under the old trustees, there was different things that was put out in the community. The community, what I'm hearing feedback, has felt untoward regarding how the trust has been not dealing with the community in a sense. So we're totally different, this new board. Okay. Doors are open, we're steering the ship. There's been a whole lot of things. Even you can read, it's out there. The Charity Commission has asked for an overhaul of all the operations, and this team that's in there or in here now are doing that. And it's going to take time, but we're open, we're transparent. We had our AGM just the other week, and we're going to do a launch or an open day. We want to open up the space that people can feel they don't just have to drive past. Because I think a lot of people say they drive past, they don't even look on the building because of the historical feelings. So we've got to bring a different vibe, a different energy, and I think we're doing that. The board members that are currently sitting in seat. And it's a business and a trust. So the business builds money in to support the trust, the charity arm, to support the people. So it's all of those things have to work in sync. There's no point the business not bringing money in. When the charity comes, we can't give nothing.
Exactly, So could you explain the trust side of it? Because that's the more interesting side to me.
So just as you said, not necessarily the detail about if you want a unit, you get, but we currently do community cohesion. So we've got the elderly colour group that come here once a week. We've supported a few community initiatives, documentary done by Neville. He's approached us, and we've supported him with funding. So we are doing bits and pieces. I can list, Power to Change. There's a host of things that we're doing. A lot of it needs funding, and a lot of it needs building the funds to sustain it. There's one thing to do something and then it die off.
True.
That's not legacy. We want to build stuff that's sustainable for the long term.
That's it.
Like, do you know what I mean? So that we are building those legacies. When we gone, your children, my children, the next generation can tap into it because it's built on solid foundations. But bear with us is what I'm saying.
So like you said, and you're honest, and I trust you as an honest person. So we're not trying to implicate anyone. So now you said there's a new board. So we just have to wait and see what the new board is going to do differently.
Well, some people are already seeing the benefits of the new board. What I can say is historically, a lot of the units were left empty.
So that was my question. What I was
now, let me get to it.
Okay.
We've probably got one, or I'll have to double check for facts before you call me a liar. I think we've got about 2 units left. So we've let all of them out. That is the revenue to help do the charity stuff. I didn't understand when I first came on board how, the old establishment would not have those let out. So, and I'm part of the lettings committee within, that.
But as a big organization, and this was a question, as a big organization in the community, I would say probably the biggest, the Windrush, because it's got the name from that generation, which was the name of the share. So this is holding a lot in, a lot of water, should I say. So basically, do you think, in your honest opinion, we're not talking now, because like I said, there's changes, and we're not trying to blame anyone in the past, but do you think this center should have been doing more for the community?
Yes.
Yes. Simple.
Simple answer.
Simple answer. Because like I said, I've come here before, and someone sent me here to check, because I've had this idea where I was saying, basically, I wanted to start this 3 days a week school
Yeah.
for the year 3 to the year 6 for them to be able to do the entrance test to St. Bede's.
Yeah.
Which I think was a brilliant idea. But then when I came here and I put it to the person at the time, the person told me that it was like something like £50 for half an hour for hire, and I was like, okay, but if it's charity and I'm doing something for the community, which I wasn't,
and the youth,
and the youth, because this is what I'm saying, in our community, we are not, the education is individual, but it's not coming as in the vast majority, as it should do, because basically, like we said, we haven't got enough people in the correct position, and that's for a reason. You know what I mean? We haven't got accountants, we haven't got enough black accountants, we haven't got enough black doctors, we haven't got enough black solicitors. You know what I mean? People like these are in vital places. You know what I mean? When people go doctor, they want to see people like themselves who understand them. You know what I mean? But basically, you need to be qualified. So you know what I mean? So all these things,
opportunities and development, we need to do it. So in answering your question in a simple nutshell, bring your proposal back again.
Probably I will. You know
because again, sometimes I knock on doors 4 or 5 times. And
before
sometimes it don't open the first or second. But a lot of people have said you're a very resilient woman, and I said, well,
as it should be. You're right.
So if you are still passionate and doing and can do what you've just said to me, it ticks boxes in my brains. And again, like I said, we've got the School to Prison Pipeline charity that I'm involved with. I'm a parent governor, and I started the PTA. So you dropping something on the table like that, I'd be like, where's the space? So all I'll say is bring it back again.
So all we need is to tutor, you know what I mean? And trying to get some form of funding to pay the tutor for their time. That's all we need, because basically, like I said, to me, it's very simple, because if you got kids from year 3, which is very young, to year 6, they got 3 years to get ready for these entrance tests. And that's enough time to prepare them, you know, mentally, physically.
Plus, I've got boys who
exactly, you know what I mean? And then once they go to and take that test, if we get 10 kids, or 10 child, through St. Bede's door for the scholarship, no, that's a great achievement. If we got in 5 years after that, we've got the first 10, and every year after that, we'll be
building up.
And then if 5 years after that, we've got 10 people graduating. So what I say to people is not about what you know, it's sometimes about who you know. And going to some of these schools get you in contact with certain people. I'm not trying to say obviously.
No, you're bang on, and I don't shy away from owning the realities.
No, it is.
You know, because a lot of people want to skew what you're saying, and you got
some people will go, oh, money is everything. But what I say to people is
but education is, and if you're getting a better level, my daughter went to and most people won't know about it. She went to a state-funded boarding school. So when people are like, oh, you sent your daughter to boarding school, and I'm posh, far from it. I'm working class. I've been working even before I got my national insurance, because that's just who I am.
So it's one thing my dad taught me. So it's just an example. And when I used to be growing up and I'm looking girls at school, my dad said to me, yo, take your education first. Then when you get your education, you get a good job. When you get your good job, you learn good money. Then after you got your money, you can get all the girls you want. You know what I mean? I say the same thing to my kids now. Well, I've got your daughters, I've got 5 daughters. And I'm saying to my daughters them now, listen, try and save, because basically it's the same thing. It goes right back to the money. Because you go to school to learn, to get a good education. Why? To get a good job. Why you want a good job? To earn good money. So if you can start earning money now, it's the same way, you know what I mean? As long as you're making sure you're still getting your education, you know what I mean? So I said that to say this, because it still boils back down to money. Because people will say, oh, you're just about the money, you're just about this. But life, you can't survive without money.
No, we need money.
We need money.
And the road to acquiring that money is very important as well.
It is. And what do people see as success? You know what I mean? Obviously being healthy is success, but for 9 out of 10 people, success is what you achieved. You know what I mean? Whether it's your education, whatever, you know what I mean? But like I said, THIRZA, I really wish you well.
Thank you.
So you vote Green Party. Yeah,
honestly, vote me, but equally vote for the Green Party because that's who's obviously the vehicle that I'm using.
Yeah.
But I will still do what I do. I'm still very much a community person. I'm still going to work very closely with yourself and affect change.
So what would happen if you get, so you, even though you're not too like optimistic about winning the first time
The
around.
polls are saying different things.
Yeah, but never mind the poll. So for example, now in this area, if the people should be watching this now and decided that listen, we're gonna give THIRZA a go. If you should have win by a landslide and said, okay, would you be representing even though so even if the Labour Party win the election and you win the Moss side
so what will happen? Say Labour get into power. You know who the Labour leader is, and whatever opinions you have about him, it's on you. But what will happen is anything that they try and impose in cabinet, it sits, if you notice, if you watch all the MPs that sit on the back bench, they're the ones that will either push their motion down or challenge their motion or agree to it. So the more green MPs or maybe independent, a lot of people saying independent people are equally going to represent because they're not following the party line. They're not, it's not their mate in Labour, so they've got to say yes. There's different structures, and that's why I want to do political education as well, probably with you going forward. But I think once you have a green or 5 green or 10 green MPs saying, no, that's not going to work, Labour, it don't work. So do you understand the importance of governance? Voting me in and many other Greens holds a power and a stronghold to say no to some of the things that Labour...
So if you decided that you wanted to be a Labour candidate, even in the same area, what would have been... is there a specific reason why you went to the Green Party?
Yeah, so I originally was with Labour. And that's because Labour was birthed through the trade unions. So they were for the people, they were about workers' rights. Labour along the way, in my view, has lost its way. And when Corbyn didn't get in, again, that to me showed some signs of the party shifting. Then when I read the Ford report, now everybody, if you get an opportunity, there's a narrow version and then there's the big Ford report. It talks about racism in the party. So that report was done, but nothing really in terms of action. As you can see what's happening with Diane Arbor, and I can list other MPs that have been subjected. And the way Labour works is they will whip you. It's called the whip, which means you can't talk. So remember, Diane was on the bench, not able to challenge anything. She just had to sit there like, we call it mumu.
And someone said that about David Lammy as well.
Sit there and you're whipped. You're literally, it's a horrible connotation. I don't like using it, but I realized the control within the party and how it didn't seem just, it didn't seem that it was inclusive, and the equality strands were failing. And I was quite senior as well within the Labour, well, not Labour, Momentum, which is built off Labour. I was a part of the national coordination group, and you could see the fractions, them and us. And again, it didn't sit well with my energies. I'm very in touch with myself. So I couldn't sit and represent a party that didn't represent me and didn't represent my people, my kind. So I stood out of Labour, stood away from politics for a bit, and then a dear friend of mine was like, we can't lose you. You're a socialist. You get it. You need to join a party, you need to run. And so I ran twice for Moss side. I tripled the % of the Green Party. So where before no one knew about even the Green Party, who are you, And now that I think people are looking at me because they know me, but equally understanding, oh, there's a party, and then researching what the Green Party are about. So it's a win-win. In my view.
Yes. And I think so, because like you said, we need to have someone representing us. So vote Green Party.
4th of July.
4th of July.
Get to your polling stations. Take your ID. A lot of people contacted me 2 years back and this local election saying they didn't have ID and therefore they couldn't vote. So I need as many people exercising their democratic right. Do your research first. If you're ever worried about where do I go, who do I vote for, the knowledge is out there. And if it isn't, get in touch with Moss Side Talk TV.
All right, so Moss Side Talk TV. You heard THIRZA, so please go out, give her the support. You know what I mean? So it's our first black candidate for the Mossad era, and we need that because for me personally, I was looking around and I was, when they had the local election the other day, and I see truck passing with people on it, and not as in pictures of me, and I was looking and I was like, how's the black man?
Yeah. Well, it was the black woman. It was me. I ran. Black person, I ran a good campaign, and again, just to home in on that. I know Ali ran as an independent, but Ali was part of the collective team with me, but then chose to run independent. And that's fine. It just shows, though, with his votes and my votes, that's a seat. So we need to come together. It's a message I'm sending. I'm not against anyone doing their own thing, but there's power in numbers. So if me and him join forces, the things that we could do is formidable. So again, let's not divide.
Is Ali from the Somalian community? So okay. So he's in the Green Party as well.
He's not. He was supporting. He came because he used to be in Labour. So I know him from Labour days. And he went away, came back, and we got talking. He was like, "Sister, what's happening?" We did a catch up. So I told him I'm with the Greens now, and this is what I'm doing. And he initially came on and supported my campaign, and then decided to run independent. So
I spoke to a guy at the Windrush the other day called is it Farage? Is this
Farage?
What's his name? He said he's the MP
candidate. Bilal. Mohammed Bilal's one. Oh, there is another one. He's on the candidate sheet. He was on Claremont Road. We spoke. Again, I've met him as an older man with a white beard.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
We met.
I can't remember his name. But I spoke to him over at the Windrush there. Yeah.
I mean, there's a few people running. Google is an amazing thing. Like, there's a hub of information. Fact check some of it, but you will find out all the candidates. There'll be literature on me. You can check all my socials. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I've got video that's gone out that explains more about who I am. And I've shared that again with Mossad Talk TV.
Where can they find it? Have you got what's your socials?
So it's just my name. Anywhere you put in, it'll be THIRZA Amina Sangare. If not, it'll just be my surname, Sangare, and you'll see them pop up. I mean, once you go to one of my socials, you can usually find all the rest. And I'm in the community. If ever in doubt, come to either the Windrush Centre, you can find me there. I do housing surgeries here as well around knowing your rights for housing. So I don't shy away, and I'm not a stranger. So any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Come down and speak to THIRZA. Okay. Thanks, THIRZA. It's nice speaking to you.
No problem. Thank you.
Great conversation. So I believe, like I said, she can do it. So just give her the support. Won't cost you anything. You're not paying for it. But we need to give our own a chance. So everyone else is in. Why are we not in? So give THIRZA a chance. And make sure that she try and win this one, and for the future, many more, hopefully. So
I'll be back again.
Speaking to you,
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
All right. Okay. You're welcome.
Bye. Woo-hoo, that was long but good. We could talk for days.
We could. Conversation,